Today I'm joined by the great group O'Shea. So today I've got Mark and Jay O'Shea with us, and we're going to ask them some questions. And we thank them for all the support they've given Franklin Elementary over the years, and glad they could join us today.
Hi, Mr. Bourne. How are you going through this craziness?
Doing well. Ready to see the kids again. It's a lot different seeing them in person rather than through a computer screen. But
you kind of get used to them, don't you?
Yes. I miss them tremendously. Like I truly love what I do. So, yeah. But yeah, I've been doing this with some people and just wanted to share some experience with working musicians out there about, hey, what were your influences and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to start you guys with a question today. Hey, who were your favorite musicians growing up? Who did you listen to?
You'll probably get two different answers from each of us. But for me, I mentioned before, I was the youngest of 9 kids. So there was a lot of older, my brothers and sisters, their musical influences sort of came down the line. But Creedence Clearwater Revival was a big one for me. Garth Brooks, definitely. Tom Petty, a bunch of Australian bands you probably never heard of, but Aussie Crawl, Australian Crawl was a band I really liked, as was Midnight Oil, Cold Chisel, all those kinds of bands.
I had a really eclectic mix. Early on, I sort of got into Olivia Newton-John, as every other little Australian girl did. We all wanted to be her growing up. And then Linda Ronstadt, and a few of those. We didn't get Reba. We didn't get Reba in Australia. And I'm sure that I would have been a massive Reba fan, being a redhead, of course, had I heard of Reba growing up. But for whatever reason, we didn't get any of her songs. And I didn't really discover her until I moved to America, which is crazy. Then there, I sort of had a really eclectic mix of, I had 2 older brothers who were into like rock music. And so they were into Ozzy Osbourne and AC/DC and a lot of more heavy kind of stuff that would scare the life out of me. But I sort of got a bit of a baptism of fire with that music. So I sort of grew up with a lot of rock, strangely enough. And then I discovered soul. In my teens, I discovered soul and a lot more kind of jazz, like Ella Fitzgerald and Anita Baker and those kinds of things. And of course, Aretha Franklin and the great singers. I'm a massive Celine Dion fan. But I just think she's probably the most incredible singer in the entire world. Like if you've seen her live, it's like a whole other level. It's like hearing Tommy Emmanuel play guitar.
Has Celine ever done a duet with John Farnham? That'd be pretty cool. John Farnham is another. He's an Australian singer.
Yeah.
Probably our most famous artist. I think maybe in Australia. Male artist. Anyway. Just an incredible singer. I bring him up because in the same way that Celine is a vocalist of very little competition, so is John Farnham.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Bonnie Raitt. I've got to get Bonnie Raitt in there too. I was a massive Bonnie Raitt fan for a long time, and Kate Bush. I think it's all the redheads. See, I would have loved Reba. I know I would have.
This is going to be a very long interview.
Much earlier.
I've got a feeling this is going to be a very long interview.
You know what? I get to spend time with you guys, so I'm okay with that. So I will admit to you guys that I've been sort of choosing who I want to interview, so I get to interview some fun people. So
I saw the one with Tommy. I mean, that was awesome.
We're massive Tommy fans. In fact, I had both of our babies were serenaded whilst in the womb by Tommy when we were shooting some pieces on him. So I feel like they got the magical Tommy touch, both of them. They're very lucky.
No, I'm always amazed at how generous he is with his time, especially when I see him at the Chet Atkins festival they have every year here in Nashville. So he's always willing to stop and talk to people, assuming he's not running off to play somewhere in that particular moment. So I know this changes like day to day if y'all are anything like I am, but what's your favorite song to play today or sing today?
Oh gosh, I know. I've got 2 that immediately spring to mind. We're always playing new music to the kids and trying to give them a lot of music history, you know, and like I know you do with your students too. You're really good like that, trying to introduce them to great artists and great music. And we've kind of gone down a really weird 80s road over this COVID. Bonnie Tyler, turn around every now and then I get a little bit terrified.
It's not enough.
Yeah. So that's
the kids have been
thrashed.
singing that non-stop.
And then there's if the world was ending, you come over, right?
Yeah, it's a great song.
You come over and you stay the night.
What's that guy's name? J.P. Sachs
and Julian Michaels.
Julian Michaels is a duet.
And it's strangely called "If the World Was Ending," and it sort of came out just before all of this crazy stuff hit. But the girls really love that song too, and it's just the most beautiful, well-written song. So we're quite in love with that. What else have you got?
We've been making a new record ourselves in the last few months. Well, actually, it's been going on forever now. I feel like it's been the longest process for this record, but
it's going to be even longer now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So we've been kind of like playing some of those songs, almost like learning our own songs, if that makes any sense. You know, like you write them and then you record them, and it's like, okay, cool. How do we take what we've made as a recording now and turn that into like, so I can sit at a guitar or a piano and play it without all the bells and whistles. So we've been doing that a little bit. It's been kind of fun.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed some artists recently have actually gone back and started re-recording some of their older pieces, and it's been really fun to listen to like the difference between what they're playing now compared to like the original recordings.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when you get to go see live music, it's always worth going to see live music because it's always going to be different slightly than the album.
100%. I think that's like, you know, there's we are musicians first and foremost. Some of our recordings are more pop centric than others. Some are more rootsy and country, but
soulful,
even the pop ones, the song you have to be able to play a song like on a piano or a guitar. You know what I mean? Like you got to be able to sit. Sorry, you don't have to. That's just my interpretation of for us. You know, if someone says, "How does that song go?" It would be great to play it, a version of it on an acoustic organic instrument. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a prerequisite for us.
So, and then the last question I have for y'all is, what advice would you have for our students right now who are either maybe learning an instrument on their own, or just they're interested in becoming musicians one day, or just being musical in general? So what advice would you have for them?
Yeah, we'll probably get two different answers again. Mine is, and this sounds probably a little bit harsh, but it's practice, just practice. Like, you know, I think what happens is you sort of lose interest sometimes in learning an instrument because you get excited about it and then you start doing it and you go, oh, this is really hard, and I'm not enjoying it because what's in my head I can't get my hands to do, you know, whether it's this or this, you know. The only way to push through that is just to push through it and practice and just get to a point where you can make momentum and see and feel that you're achieving something and getting better up until the point where you can accompany yourself. And then once you get there, it's the sky's the limit, you know what I mean? But in order to get to that point, you have to practice. It's, you know, everyone complains about your fingers, as you know, like, oh, that it hurts too much, I can't play the guitar, blah, blah. That's rubbish. You just got to push through that, you know, and like piano, playing scales on the piano is boring. It's pretty boring. But you got to do it, you know. So I'm a bit of a hard taskmaster like that with our kids, and because that's how I learned. You know, I learned from nuns.
Mark learned from the nuns,
you know,
in Queensland, Australia.
They didn't
mess around.
They didn't mess around, you know. So I think it's just really, practice is just so important. You know, to just, you got to knuckle down and put in the years, you know.
And I would add to that, absolutely, practice and just, you know, keep listening. But I would say to write poetry, start writing words, you know, keep a little book beside your bed, and if just thoughts, any kind of crazy thoughts, whatever you think as you go along, write them down. And even if you don't think that you're good at poetry, you know, before you know it, you'll have some thoughts together and start messing around. So do your practice, absolutely, as Mark said, do your practice, but then allow yourself time to experiment and mess around and think up, you know, putting melodies to words or just messing around with different sounds that aren't like anything that you've heard. you know, like explore that side of you as well. Try and develop that side of you. Don't be afraid to go there and not just practice what the piano teachers taught you. Like think outside the box as well.
I agree. The only thing is, I think kids get on there and they like get a piano and they just start going bing bong, hitting random things and going, oh look, I'm playing the piano, everybody. Bing. It sounds terrible. Like, stop doing that. I'm kind of like, no, that's not playing the piano. You're just randomly hitting keys. Learn some stuff and then experiment. You can't just go experimenting without knowing what you're doing first.
See, I totally disagree with that, because I think there's always room to, can you tell we're married? I think there's always room after the practice is done to
after the practice is done. Exactly.
I feel like our kids have, I've just heard them once they've done their practice and whatever, and then they've sat and they've just tinkered. And I've just been, you know, in the kitchen cooking or whatever, just hearing them. I feel like they accidentally come up with some really great, interesting stuff by just doing that, just sitting at it and just messing around.
After the learning part, yes.
It's the nuns. It's the nuns coming out in art crochet.
Well, I mean, like, for teachers, there were none other for him. But yeah, sorry, that's my terrible humor. But no, I actually really appreciate the fact that y'all are giving sort of, I feel like the two pieces of advice are complementary to each other.
Right. I think so.
They are.
I agree.
Even though we're fighting over it, they are.
Yeah, but fun fighting, I'm okay with that. But no, I don't know. I run into people that can play scales all day long, but they can't be musical with it. So like I'll always make sure that they're being musical in whatever we're practicing. So don't just play the scale, like actually think it in your head too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting. My birth mother is an opera singer, and she's exquisite. Like, she sings in 5 different languages, and she's just absolutely brilliant. But she doesn't. Her voice is such an instrument, you know, that she can, you know, she sight reads everything, and she's brilliant, but she doesn't write, you know, she doesn't sort of sit down and write music. That's like a whole other world that she doesn't really know how to do that, you know. So, and I can't do what she does. Like, it's a completely other world to me. Like, I'd be completely lost if someone put an Italian opera in front of me. There's no way I could sing it, you know.
No, I agree. That was a weird sound. So, but thank y'all so much for joining me to do this today. And I appreciate y'all more than I can ever tell y'all. And thank you for taking your time, and please stay safe. And, you know, take care of yourself during this time.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, you too. And listen, you are just the best music teacher in the whole world. I love the way you care about the children, and you give so much to the kids. And, you know, for those out there that don't realize, you're a fantastic guitar player
amazing,
as well. Like, really, like, extraordinary. So we appreciate everything that you do too. And yeah, we're really happy to talk to you, and be safe and be well and be happy during these crazy times.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that compliment more than I can tell you. So that might get repeated a few times during the interview. So all right. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, man.
You too.